Civ 7 is the best game in the Civ franchise. Hear me out, alright? Hear me out. Listen, I consume a lot of Civ content, and lately there's been an absolute hot streak of content creators voicing their concerns about the game. This video absolutely isn't in reply to anyone in particular, and of course, everyone is entitled to their own thoughts on the game, but these are mine, unfiltered and honest. Imagine if, following the backlash of Civ 6 breaking buildings out and adding the district system, Firaxis listened to the community uproar and added a classic mode which put all your buildings back into the city centre like in Civ 5. I mean, imagine if they'd actually done that and we never got to experience the district system in all of its beauty. And imagine further still, how difficult the game would be to balance if Firaxis had to account for the fact that players could have districts, a major pillar of the design of the game, able to be toggled on or off. It would be like trying to balance two entirely different games at once. It would be impossible. Districts are one of the absolute best changes the Civ series has ever done in my view. And guess what? There is still a section of the community out there who can't stand Civ 6 because of the district system, and prefer the simplicity of Civ 5's buildings. But this hasn't stopped Civ 6 being far and away the most popular entry in the series' history. And good news everyone, you can still play Civ 5. It's okay if this mechanic isn't for you, but I'm begging you, don't try and ruin it for the rest of us who actually appreciated Firaxis taking a big chance on pushing the formula forward. I really hope we don't shy away from bold design ideas like this just because they're divisive. And if you didn't already pick up on it, what I'm talking about here is completely analogous to what is going on with Civ 7 right now. Decoupling civs and leaders is one of my absolute favourite changes Firaxis has done. The amount of different combinations and strategies this change has opened up, and will continue to open up as the game gets more updates, is insane. Literally thousands of combinations of leaders and civs, a number that will only get exponentially bigger. And the same goes for the age transition mechanic as well. I absolutely love that my choices continue to matter as the game goes on. No longer am I just hitting next turn for an hour just to close out the game. But Mr. Not Daily Civ 7 News, Firaxis only decoupled civs so that they could focus on making more civs instead of leaders, which is just a way for them to cheap out on development time because leaders take a lot more effort to make with their modelling, animations and voice acting. Okay, awesome, that sounds like a win-win situation to me. So the devs are able to pump out more civs than ever before, while I as the player get to mix and match that one new civ with the 30 plus leaders already in the game. This sounds incredible, and it's a big win for the longevity of the game in my opinion. Not to mention that the civs in Civ 7 are way more fleshed out than in previous titles. Seriously, civs in Civ 7 have so much going on. I mean, let's genuinely compare Greece in Civ 6 to Civ 7 for a second. So in Civ 6, their ability gives them an extra wildcard policy slot in their government, and that's it. They get the Hoplite, which is a spearman replacement, one of the worst units in the game, although the Hoplite is pretty good, but you get a unit. And you get your Acropolis, which is a cheaper theatre square, so it just replaces your district. And that's it. This is your entire Civ ability right here, these three things. Now let's look at Greece in Civ 7. You get +3 influence on your palace, you get your hoplite again, so that's back. You get a unique great person specific to Greece, the Logios. You get your unique infrastructure, which is comprised of your quarter, which has its own ability, the Parthenon and the Odeon, so you get 2 unique buildings there. And you have a whole civic tree to yourself as well, so all these traditions that you get to carry into the future ages, all the unlocks here, that's fine. And you get your associated one, which is the Oracle. I mean, there's just so much more going on. Each of these civics, not to mention these all have masteries as well to unlock. So there is just 3 to 4, 5 times the content going on in just, this is one example of Greece. But all of the civs are like this really when you compare them like for like. Civs in Civ 7 just have so many facets to them, it is amazing. Back to the video. And not only do you get to play around with all these fun tools your Civ has in each age, but you then get to mix and match these tools with 2 more civs in each playthrough. By way of example, let's say you did pick Greece in Antiquity, and you decided to transition to the Shawnee in Exploration. This lets you hyper-focus your government towards befriending city-states and becoming suzerain of half the map. It's a super fun playstyle, and especially right now, super strong as well. Alternatively, you could transition Greece into Mongolia and combine Greece's tradition to get more commander experience with Mongolia's unique army commander to absolutely dominate your homeland through conquest. Also an extremely powerful combination. This is just one single example of one age transition that showcases how the age system doesn't railroad your playthrough, not in the slightest. Once you understand each civ and how they can all be stitched together in unique ways, you'll find the possibilities are endless. This is why for me, going back to just playing one civ for an entire game with only a couple abilities and units that are probably only relevant for 30 turns or so is absolutely bleak. I genuinely cannot go back to playing Civ 6 after putting over 1200 hours into that game. I literally can't go back. Everything feels so static. There's still more work to be done for sure, but being able to play through all three ages and shifting my civ around as the game goes on, depending on what's happening around me, is so amazing. There are a lot of people out there who claim this is the breaking point for them when it comes to immersion, which is an opinion that is fair to have, obviously, but I do wonder where this stems from because, man, I just can't wrap my head around it. How is going from Han China in antiquity to the Ming Dynasty in exploration, and then finally evolving to Qing China in the modern age, somehow immersion breaking, but playing Abraham Lincoln and commanding your legions of American slingers in the Stone Ages against John Curtin's Australian swordsmen, that's all good. No worries there, mate. Now yes, I've used an optimistic example here to represent Civ 7. I think a lot of people would be more on board if there was a relatively clean historical path through the ages, as China or India has. But even still, I find Hatshepsut leading ancient Greece no less ridiculous than my Abraham Lincoln example. I really don't. Realistically, I'm a gameplay first kind of guy. I play Civ for the historical flavour, but this isn't EU4, right? Civ has never been about perfectly recreating history. It's about creating your own timeline through history, and Civ 7 succeeds in this aspect just as well as any previous entry in my view. And I would say if you play 4X games for the gameplay, and less for the internal narrative, Civ 7 is made with you in mind. On the topic of age transitions, one thing I see a lot of fear-mongering about is the actual age transition moment itself, or the percent marker to the next age. Firaxis has since added a 10-turn countdown to the game, which is on by default. There's no more surprise, the age jumps from 85% to 100% in a single turn, and suddenly the age is over moment. Yes, this can still happen to a degree, but the countdown is there to protect you from it ever being too abrupt, and it was a really great addition. And the thing is, by the time you get to this point in the game, by making a judgment call on the AI's science and culture, and your own, you should be able to make a pretty informed decision on whether there'll be future tech and future civics being completed in the near future, and you really shouldn't be looking to make big sweeping plans when the age is at 90%. That's not the fault of the game, that is, as the kids say, a skill issue. And it doesn't have to specifically be with this issue, but I do find that for whatever reason, people seem to think that you should be able to play Civ 7 the way you played Civ 6, with no negative repercussions. The reality is, this is a new game, and it demands a new playstyle. It's like booting up Civ 6 and deciding to completely ignore amenities and luxury resources, and then going and complaining online that you're being penalised for not playing the game the way the developers wanted. Every single game, I have to play the mini-game of collecting luxury resources, otherwise my cities end up being super unhappy. I hate this game. Why are they trying to railroad me into this same playstyle, rather than letting me play the game I want to play? Well, of course you don't get to play the game that way. You can't just ignore a game's fundamental mechanics and then complain when your empire is less efficient than those who put in the effort to actually meaningfully engage with those new mechanics. If you come straight from Civ 5 and decide your preferred playstyle is settling cities right on the doorstep of someone's capital in Civ 6, you're going to lose that city to loyalty. The game does not allow this playstyle. That's not railroading, that's just the rules of the game. So yes, deciding to start a massive war when the age is at 90% may result in you being one turn away from capturing someone's capital, and then the age transitions and your troops will be moved out of their borders. But this was an entirely predictable outcome. You probably shouldn't have done that, or at least known that it was going to be a high-risk, high-reward situation. Another point I want to make on the age transition topic is the claim that when you move from antiquity to exploration or exploration to modern, It's almost as if you're going back to square one, and so much of your progress is erased, which makes it really hard to feel connected to your empire, and it's like you're playing 3 minigames instead of one continuous game, leading your empire from start to finish. My response to this is, genuinely, what game have you been playing? Your progress is erased. Anyone who's played a fair few games of Civ 7 knows that the player who is ahead at the end of the age will still decidedly be in the lead at the start of the next age, if you know what you're doing. To the point where you have people getting victories in under 10 turns in the modern age, because you can build up such an insane lead in exploration and straight up blitz through your victory condition. Being able to pour your excess science and culture into future techs and civics that progress the trees of the next era gives you such an insane leg up that one could argue they actually don't go far enough to stop the snowball in Civ 7, that the age transitions should do more to erase your progress. And Firaxis is now talking about soon adding a collapse setting to the game to make the transitions even harsher than they are right now. Now, I'm not saying this needs to be the case. I'm in the camp that the original regroup setting is a pretty good sweet spot for the transitions, and continuity is a step in the wrong direction in my opinion. But when it comes to your existing empire, let me be clear, not a whole lot actually changes between ages. It's the same map, all your settlements are exactly where you left them, your borders haven't changed, all of your buildings are still right where you left them, they're just less efficient now than their modern equivalent. I can't fathom feeling like you're not playing the same game that you were before, especially considering the new continuity setting is on by default, so even your units do stay exactly where they are. Seriously, I do think people who compare age transitions to starting a whole new game are being a bit dramatic on this point, or at the very least I don't think the criticism is being clearly articulated. Maybe there's something I'm missing here. I could definitely understand the complaint that the game doesn't explain the transitions well enough, and the fact that choosing your new civ happens outside the game, so to speak, as in you go back to a menu to pick. This is absolutely a huge area that I think could be cleaned up. As a side note, and I hate to say it, but Humankind actually does this aspect much better. You choose the civ you're going to transition to without getting booted out of the game, and you also get a little cutscene as you watch all of your buildings change over to the new civ's architecture, which I think is really cool. It visually shows the player what's happening in real time, rather than cutting to a black screen and making all the changes behind the scenes as Civ 7 does. So Firaxis, please steal this idea. Let's talk about Civ 7's victory conditions, for what feels like the 75th time on this channel. They are terrible. Which, if you ask me, is absolutely in line with the rest of the series. Don't let the absolutely incredible, amazing, chef kiss, culture victory of Civ 6 cloud your memory of the other victory conditions in that game. Scientific, the same as it's always been. Research every tech and get through a big production gate, no worries. But don't forget religious victory, where you have to basically play a military victory but with only 4 units that don't change for the entire game. Diplomatic victory, where you win by guessing which resolutions the AI are going to vote on every 30 turns. These are absolute shockers, and we're stuck with them till the end of time now, as Civ 6 won't be getting any more updates. And as a random fun fact I learned while researching this video, apparently Civ 6 didn't even have a production queue when it launched. You had to produce everything one at a time in every city. Why are Civ games so bare bones at launch? Holy dooly. The thing about Civ 7's victory conditions though is that because the design of Civ 7 gives the player so much flexibility, and your power level and strategy by this final age of the game is so unpredictable, there's actually a great deal of joy to be found in seeing just how far you can push the limits of the modern age. I touched on it before, but the speed at which you can complete a victory condition in Civ 7's modern age ranges from fast to absolutely ludicrous. Now I understand this isn't everyone's jam, it's almost like going for high scores, but the amount of theory crafting you can do to cook up some absolutely yoked late game combo in this game far surpasses previous entries in my opinion. When Bulgaria came out, I remember people were using their pillage tradition in the modern age as Buganda to literally complete the entire military legacy path and finish Operation Ivy to win the game in 3 turns. 3 whole turns to win the game. The distance between the skill floor and the skill ceiling in Civ 7 has become an abyss. And this comes back to my point that Civ 7, more than any previous 4X game I've played, has made such huge strides in making the late game fun again. Hundreds of turns into the game, and I'm still making choices and working towards objectives that can drastically alter the end state of the game, or in this example, how fast you can pull out the win. Making the late game fun is Civ 7's greatest achievement, and I attribute a large part of this success to the age system. And those are my thoughts. I hope I was able to address a lot of the common criticism that this game has gotten since release. But listen, don't take this video to mean that the game is perfect, because that is so far from the truth. The point of this video is that I truly believe that the bones of this game are incredible. The design of this game is fantastic, it's just the overall polish that needs a ton of work. Clearly the game was rushed out well before its release to appease the almighty shareholders. The things that need fixing are not fundamental, unchangeable facets of the game, like the age system or Civ switching. It's the abysmal, dreary, inconsistent UI, it's the Civipedia, it's the wildly all over the place balance. But UI and balance are easy to fix given enough time, and that's why I'm personally hopeful that Firaxis has built a foundation that can support amazing content for years to come, if supported right. Because at the end of the day, Civ 7 is not perfect, far from it, but it's ambitious in all the right ways. So Firaxis, if you're listening, stay true to your vision for this game. Build something you believe in. Thanks for watching. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to like or dislike the video. You can subscribe as well if you want to see more content like this, and leave a comment down below with your thoughts. If there was anything you agreed or disagreed with, I'd love to hear what you have to say. So thank you again. Have a good one.